Wow. I just got off the interview with Amanda Ferguson, the founder and CEO of Bottles for Bill. It's a nonprofit that she started in honor of her brother, who unfortunately passed away years ago from being dehydrated. And her story is deeply personal. I'm so grateful to her for being vulnerable and brave and sharing that story, not just with me, but in the way that she does it every single day. And also beyond that, she is an incredible businesswoman. We touch on a few things throughout the conversation, but this episode is for anyone who has a similar story, for anyone who has loved and lost someone in their life way too soon, for anyone who's interested in starting a nonprofit, understanding the importance of community and collaboration and making an impact in your backyard. So thank you, Amanda. It's a real honor, and I can't wait to support you in the way that I can and encourage my community to support in the way that I know they can. So without further ado, let's dive into a conversation with Amanda Ferguson. Well, before we dive into the full story and really why we're here, I'd love to know just a little bit about you, Miss Amanda. Like, have you always been in Arizona? Did you grow up here? What's your story?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Michigan primarily. Me and my brother did for a period of time, and I moved out to Arizona when I was 19. Is young, dumb, broke, and crazy. And me and my boyfriend of 8 months were like, let's do something crazy. We kind of got ourselves into a situation and we're like, we need a place to stay. And my brother was like, he was already out here and he was like, come on down. And he had never met my boyfriend at the time and opened up his house. And we came down and, thankfully 12 years later, that's my husband now. And it all worked out. It was a fun story now, but, yeah, so we've been out here since 2011 or take. And, I went to school for a really long time here in Arizona. I actually just graduated in 2023 with my finance degree at ASU.
Hell yeah,
So better,
congrats.
better late than never, but got it done. So I went to school. I work full time for a software company that works with like commercial brokerages and a whole slew of other things, but that's my 9 to 5. And I have 3 small children. I have Lukey here with me today. He's just about to turn
Yeah.
7. Isla's 4 and Odie is 9 months. So it is busy around here. So yeah, I live here
Wow.
in Mesa and between 3 kiddos, the nonprofit, a full-time gig, and everything else in between. She's a busy woman.
Wow. Just absolutely slaying. And I'm just going to guess, do you also have pets of any kind?
I don't now, but we did have 2 dogs in the mix not too long ago. So
Copy
that was when
that.
I was in full-time school and full-time work and
Oh, busy
2 kids
woman.
and 2 dogs. So yeah, now we just have
Kudos to
two
you.
very important fish, Bob and Sparkle, honorary Fergusons.
Between the kids and the fish, I feel like you have a hidden talent for naming human beings, or living beings, rather.
Yes, my kids, especially Luke, my 7-year-old that's with me, he has a real knack for naming things. We have 4 quail. Right now it's quail season, right?
Yeah.
So we have 4 quail, and he named them Steve, Robert, Dale, and Squail. And I was like, no notes, go for it. And then
No,
they just had babies, and I named them. They had 2 babies. I named them Chickpea and Lentil.
so
So
dumb. So cute. And by the way, I don't know if there's anything cuter than a baby quail. They're so
there's not.
adorable.
It's scientifically proven. I've had 3 children, those little baby quail that are like the size of golf balls. Scientifically proven to be the cutest.
Yeah, you're like, I love you guys, but that's awesome.
But
I
have you
love
seen a
that.
baby quail?
Golly, awesome. Well, I'm really excited to learn about your nonprofit. And I said this right before we started filming, but for me, the ability to be able to learn a story like yours and share what you've created that's so deeply personal, but it's also so grassroots and local here in Arizona. I think it's rare that some nonprofits that are of your size get a chance to really dive in and tell a story. So just thanks for being here today. I really appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about what led to the nonprofit. Can we talk about Bill a little bit, your brother?
Yes. So, a brother Bill. Guess what did I say? I'm not looking at skins right now. Silence, please. Short period of time, my love. Yeah, so my brother Bill, we have a bit of an age gap. He's 9 years older than me, and he lived in Chandler. He had his wife. He had a young son, Alex, which is not so young anymore. He's taller than me, and he worked at Boeing here in the Valley. He was in the Army right after high school and traveled the world through the Army as a helicopter mechanic. So then when he retired, he settled here in the Valley, and his wife started contracting with Boeing, and all of that. Uh, my brother, like I always say during these stories, I wish that I could, Dateline episode this and be like, oh, he lit up a room when he walked in, and he donated every minute of his time. Like the thing that's so important about my brother's story is that he's exactly like you and me. He's exactly like all of us. He went, he worked, he, did his time. He came home. He made 2 White Castle frozen sliders what felt like every day, and then jumped on his Xbox and hung out with his old army buddies and his friends via Xbox and played Call of Duty. And he was just a decent dude. And he was just like all of us. He had his hobbies. He was working on a home renovation. He was just really chill. I'm super type A, and my brother was much more chill than me, which I appreciated. So I don't know, like he was a great person. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to Dateline in that way. He was a great human being, and he had so many great qualities that made him so fun. He really was the glue that stuck our family together. So that loss has kind of rippled throughout the last few years. But he's just like us. He really is.
He sounds like an incredible human being. And yeah, I feel like the way that you talk about his quality of character is so beautiful. And those are kind of my favorite type of people, the people that are just have their internal compass set as a good human being, but kind of fly under the radar and don't necessarily get nor seek credit for it. So I'm sorry I didn't get to meet him, but he sounds like a lovely human being. And thank you for sharing a bit about him. So, unfortunately, obviously, we're talking about him as he's in the past tense. Do you want to talk about what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So my brother rode a motorcycle every day of his life. He had a few of them. He had his daily rider, he had his track bike, and he had his dirt bike. So as I mentioned before, he's well equipped, right? He was on a bike every day, and he did do 2 tours in Iraq, and he lived here in Arizona. So he was more than knowledgeable when it came to the heat. So in August of 2013, his friends had asked him to go dirt biking out at a local recreational site, Sycamore Creek, somewhere they had ridden before and were completely prepared to do something like that. They left, from my knowledge, before the sun even rose to get up there and do all of the right things. Get out there early before it gets hot, take your water, take your Gatorade. They always wore full gear. My brother was a very cautious. Like he liked to have a good time, but he wasn't out there doing anything super crazy, and everyone kind of knew that. So he went dirt biking with his friends in August, and he essentially got separated from the group. And the reason that that occurred is because he was dehydrated, most likely. So he didn't rehydrate the night before, became dehydrated when he was out on the trails, and that makes you lose a lot of your cognitive thinking. So people assume that, if you do all the right things, go early and take your water, whatnot, if you become dehydrated, you can make bad decisions. And his friends that he had ridden with many times had said he started acting very erratically, very out of character. He started speeding and driving kind of crazy and just not acting like Bill, things that used to be very difficult for him. There's a hill out there. They call it Bill Hill because it was a big situation for him to like finally get up it. I guess he had struggled many times getting up this difficult hill, and he had finally done it. Climbs like that he did that day, they said they couldn't keep up with him. Both of his friends crashed their bikes trying to keep up. So in that behavior, he separated himself from his friends and then essentially became lost in the desert. And by then they had been out there much longer than expected. So instead of going out early and beating the heat. Now he's lost in the desert longer than he expected, out of supplies in 115-degree weather. So again, with the erratic behavior, he seemingly parked his dirt bike in the only shade out there, left the only water source out there, and started walking back through this dry creek bed. And unfortunately, did pass away from heat exposure that day. His friends had notified the family that he was missing and in danger. They called Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, which responded so quickly and in the best ways to be able to help with the situation. But by the time he was located, he had already passed. It's a lot. It is. There's a 31-year-old hiker that died yesterday.
I know. And I do want to spend the majority of the time today, of course, talking about the work that you're doing and how Bill has inspired that. But I'm glad you bring it up because I think we would be remiss if we didn't call attention and use this conversation to help educate people how easy it is for things to go wrong so freaking quickly. I mean, again, the way that you talk about your brother, he's sounds perfectly capable, very intelligent, strong, young, healthy human being, and it that can pivot out in the desert so quickly. Golly, every single year. We've both been in Arizona. Amanda, you and I, for a similar amount of time. Every freaking year, whether it's an adult, a child, a pet, a dog, the amount of heat-related deaths is astounding to me, and they're all so preventable.
They're almost 100% preventable. Absolutely. Last year, there was 602 heat-related deaths, not including the amount of heat-related injuries just in Maricopa County alone, not in the state, just in this county. The thing is, my brother's story is multifaceted, right? There's the story of Bill, my brother, who he is, who he was, and all of that. There's a story of my brother's passing, which is tragic and yet absolutely educational and needs to be heard. And then there's the story of what comes next and the grief and how that propelled into a full-fledged nonprofit that does something. So it's an emotional story. It absolutely is. But I get the opportunity to tell this story in a lot of different ways, which is nice. And it's always going to tie back to my brother's story and the reason that this matters. But the fact of the matter is I never looked to make a nonprofit. This was not something I seeked out. I am a finance major. I have 3 small children. I would much prefer to have my brother than to have a nonprofit. But the series of events, and because it is so preventable and because it occurs every single year, has really allowed me to take all of that grief and all of that energy and put it somewhere. And realistically, the year my brother died, there was 73 heat-related deaths. There were 602 last year. It's not going anywhere.
I swear we're going to talk about the nonprofit, but Amanda, I can't help but sincerely just sit in awe of you because it's not you've suffered the worst case situation imaginable, losing a loved one way too soon. And I know that you live with that every day, but like hearing the way that you are able to tell the story and pull on the positivity from it and be productive in life, I bow down to you, my friend, because not everyone does that. You made a conscious and intentional choice to make the best of a absolutely terrible freaking situation. Um, and I'm honored to be in your presence. I'll just say that. Okay. Let me get off
It
my
is
soapbox.
valid. I do think, especially this year, my goal this year is to personify the nonprofit, put a face or faces, mine and my brother's, behind the cause, right?
Hmm.
But it's a balance because every day I'm out here trying to make a difference, trying to give back, trying to communicate the signs of heat exhaustion, the signs of heat stroke, what to do and how to prevent it. And I'm also grieving. I'm also grieving every single day. Like I'm filming this at 9, I have therapy at 11. Like I
Yes.
am going through it because as much as this is such a good thing and such a
Mm,
positive thing, like my family lost an entire important human being. So the grief is never going to go away. So
yeah.
I am glad that I get to do it hand in hand with this, with a business, with a nonprofit, with something that makes it feel productive, valuable, worth it, I
Yeah.
guess, in a way.
I think you'll appreciate this quote that comes to mind. It's from someone I spoke with recently. Her name is Sulaima Gorani, and she's a public figure, a public speaker, but she wrote a book about public speaking. And in there is a quote that says, speak from the scar, not the wound, in order to effectively share your message and not traumatize your audience. And I don't know that you're consciously or unconsciously doing this, but again, I am in complete awe, and I think you're doing some really important and great work in more than just the nonprofit. Like, I'm very excited to talk to you again 3 years from now. But tell me about the organization, Bottles for Bill. What on earth? How did this come about? All the things.
So immediately after losing my brother, I think some of us, I've spoken with a lot of bereaved siblings. Some of us feel this immediate feeling to compulsion to do something, right? It's not something that everyone experiences in grief, but something I felt like I should do something. I should give back. I need to. I can't just sit here, right? There's something to be done. And it took me a while to figure it out. I tried to give back in ways that I felt like my brother would give back because he had done a little bit of volunteer work and whatnot. I gave blood. I did Big Brothers Big Sisters. I just tried it, but nothing really ever felt right. And I think initially the thought of water and hydration supplies and heat relief was there, but I never really found the path of how to make it come to realization. So years down the road, 6 years after my brother passed, a friend of mine at work was hosting a water drive as a team event. Just, hey, everyone at work, bring in a case of water. We're going to go drop it off at the fire department. So I was like, this is it. This is my moment. I'm going to do this. I asked friends and family for a $5 donation and like, hey, I'm going to do this. If anyone wants to throw in $5, I'll pick up the case. And I wanted to make $100, put a little Facebook fundraiser for $100. I ended up with 5.5 pallets of water in my garage. So
Wow.
we individually moved. Me and my sister took my pickup truck, 2 fries. They put a whole pallet. We unloaded it into my truck. And then I called the food bank and was like, excuse me, what am I going to do with all this water? And so the fire department came and helped me stack it up. And the food bank took it and distributed it because I had the water, but I didn't know how to get it into the hands of people that mattered. So that was 2019. We did about 9,300 bottles of water that year, just over 5 pallets, right? But then it was a thing where I was like, oh, I could do this. And it was a launching off point. It was just the opportunity I needed to say, this is doable. This is feasible. And now I could just run with it. So in 2020, I did the same thing. I had a goal of 10,000 bottles because I'd already done 9,300. So 10,000 felt doable. I ended up with 61,000 bottles, which is
More.
just under two semis. So right? No, it is 2 semis. I think at that time it was about that. So, yeah, it launched off. It really launched. I had a semi plus more delivered to United Food Bank here in Mesa, which does distribute the water to over 160 agencies. So it was right in there. In 2020, I started getting press inquiries of, what are you doing? What do you need? And that really launched a lot of things for me because the press takes no time. They're like, in an hour. And I was like hurriedly putting my hair up, doing my makeup, and they were like, send us over, your website link, your nonprofit link, like your Instagram, your handles, all of that. And I remember doing my hair in the bathroom. My husband was home. I was doing my first news interview. I was so nervous. And I was like, I could make an Instagram. I could do that. But like, what am I going to call this? What are we going to do? And he's like, how about Bottles for Bill? And I was like, yep, okay, perfect, we'll do that. And it was just that quick. We made an Instagram, we got a website, we got everything. It just, once it was set in motion, we just went for it. Uh, so that was 2020. And in 2021, since it had been so successful and it had grown and there was proof in the pudding, right? Then I started going, how do we make this legitimate? How do we make this sustainable? How do I turn this into something that's mine and not me just piggybacking off of a water drive or a food bank or whatever? And that's when I decided to incorporate and become an official nonprofit because it benefited me because I felt like it did make me legitimate. I felt like business donors would take me more seriously. There's a lot of checks and balances when it comes to nonprofits, right? You want to make sure your money's going where someone says it's going. That was, of course, important to me. And I wanted my donors to get all the tax deductions that they could. Might as well.
Totally.
So that was really the beginning. And this part of my story is really important. This, I think, is the part that's like fun for you as people that learn about businesses. Is I had no idea what I was doing. I was putting Facebook fundraisers on and getting people's money and spending it on water and dropping it off to the food bank. It was that simple. There was nothing, there was no accounting going behind it. There was nothing. The only business expense I had was like my website, and that was it. So when I decided to incorporate, it was very overwhelming and I didn't know where to start. So I had a friend from a previous job that had created a nonprofit, and he was like, I'll give you my articles of incorporation. I'll give you this. I'll give you that. Literally just use them as templates, put in your names, your stuff, and you can use that. Then I had another friend of a friend, and I had called her and I was like, you guys, your family started a nonprofit, right? Like, how did you get started? This, that. And she's like, I don't know anything about that, but you could call my sister-in-law. So gracefully, thank you, Jen, if you're listening, Jen got on a phone call with me, just like you and me. And I was like, yeah, I've been like collecting all this water, but I really want to incorporate and make an official nonprofit, but I don't know where to start. And there's so much paperwork. I'm really overwhelmed. And I said, I don't know where to start. And she was like, you're already doing it. It was the most powerful thing anyone's ever said to me, honestly. There's a lot of people that have tried to make a difference. Jen just did with one sentence. She said, you're already doing it. The things that matter are nonprofit. Actually giving back to people, actually getting donations, actually putting the money where it's supposed to go, and making sure water gets into the hands of people that need it and saving lives, literally saving lives. You're doing that already. The rest is just paperwork.
Yeah.
And that, to this day, is probably one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me, and one of the most motivating things anyone's ever said to me. So really, with a couple little networking connections, someone gave me this document, someone guided me here, check out this website, do this, check out this form, not that form, here's what to expect, I'm here if you need me, but you're not going to need me, I think you can do it. And I was off, did the paperwork, and then I had a nice shiny piece of paper from the IRS that said I was official. So
Hell yeah. The only good letter from the IRS, right?
the only one.
I,
You get that EIN
I,
number and you're like, I did it. I did
yeah,
this.
there's so many great lessons in your story here in terms of, first and foremost, kind of the universe removing barriers and pointing you in the right direction of this is where you're supposed to be headed. And then having that trusted colleague, well, several trusted colleagues, it sounds like, who are willing to set aside time to support you and provide resources. And then that one individual towards the end who, for me, I kind of describe those as the reality checkers and just the mirror that I need every once in a while to say, yeah, you're doing it. Keep doing it. Just do it. Whether you're someone that is trying to figure out your next steps in life, considering a nonprofit, opening a business, career change, I just think there's a lot of value in this conversation, your story. I want to make sure I understand the logistics of the nonprofit. So the main goal, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is to be able to raise awareness along the lines, raise awareness for heat-related deaths, fatalities, as well as the need for water distribution. And then you also are collecting donations, both monetary and actual water bottles, and then distributing those to the nonprofits for their networks. Is that correct?
Right. It gets a little complicated, but yes, you have the gist. Like there, it is. We have a few goals. One, just provide awareness around heat dangers that surround each of us every single day. Like you said, you and I have been out here for a long time, and we still see, like in my brother's case, people that are educated, familiar, paired, pass away, every day, sometimes during the summer. So just providing the education needed there, and the awareness that there is a need for a preventable actions to be taken, and also that there's a need to help others have access and resources to those preventable measures too. And then what I do is collect donations specifically. Right now, we are in full-fledged fundraiser mode every summer trying to collect primarily monetary donations. And the reason I lean monetary donations is because I find it personally my role in this is to make sure your donor money goes as far as possible. If you give me $4, I'm gonna get every single bottle I can for $4. So when we get monetary donations, it allows me to buy an entire semi directly from the bottling company or directly from a retailer, which drives down the price. So we get more bang for our buck. Not that physical donations don't help, they absolutely do. And I work in conjunction with Mesa's hydration donation campaign that they do every year. So their goal this year is 500,000 bottles of water and $1,000 cash. And United Food Bank here in Mesa launches that and supports that as well. So we all kind of work together. So all of our bottles will go towards the city's goal there. And essentially, I collect the monetary or physical donations. We get water delivered directly to the food bank, and then they distribute it out to 160 different agencies. And that is 160
Wow.
different groups in the area that are putting in requests to them. We need a pallet of water. We need 10 cases of water. We need whatever it is. And recently I've had the privilege to go to one of those agencies, the Artist Foundation. We took 500 bottles to them. Every single Tuesday, they hand out resources to unsheltered individuals or people that need additional help. Every single Tuesday, we handed out 500 bottles of water in 1 hour. 1 hour. That's where our water's going. That's where our water's going. It's literally crazy. So United Food Bank will give it to someone like Artist Foundation, which is actually going and putting it in the hands. And of course, they're doing great work doing food drop-offs and water drop-offs all summer long as well. But they're really making sure it gets there. In my business story, what's nice is I knew how to get the money, or at least I'm trying. And I knew my story would compel people to feel strongly about this subject because it is preventable and there is something to do. And it takes $4. A case of water is $4. That's what it takes to save 40 lives. 40 bottles of water, $4. So I really focused on that and making the most of the donors' money so that I can use the resources that other people have created, like the food bank, to go and distribute it. So I don't have the overhead of a warehouse and a truck and a pallet jack. And I'm not spending all my time doing this. I'm spending my time connecting people to the cause, building a community that cares about this, even somewhat nearly as much as I do, that sees that this is something where we can really make a difference and make the money do the work.
Oh my gosh. You're hitting on so many things about how to stretch a budget and be efficient. And I really just want to double tap on that for a second because people, I think, get hesitant sometimes to gift money and we'll end up like a food bank or whatever. They'll bring the boxes of pasta, or in this case, water bottles. And as you said, that's great. Don't stop doing that. But I want to make sure everyone really truly hears this is because you yourself, Amanda, have this nonprofit that is legit, that is registered, that has relationships with the vendors. Your dollar stretches farther than Joe Schmo or, for example, Kate Mayeski off the street. So it is more impactful for me to donate my dollar to you rather than me go out and buy bottles. And beyond that, it simplifies your operations and makes it an even more efficient distribution network. And you've already got the partnerships with the people and the organizations out there. So for everyone that is looking to get involved, donations, monetary, obviously, very, very great way to stretch the dollar. But let's go back to the people that maybe don't want to gift a dollar. Maybe they want to get involved in a different way. Maybe they can only give volunteer time. What are some other ways people can support your organization and your mission?
Absolutely. I feel that we all want to we all want to feel like the dollar we're giving is making a difference, right? And the difference between food and water is food you can stretch, right? When you give $1 to a food bank, they'll say, oh, $1 provides 5 meals. I'm a finance major. I'm still confused how that works. But I think they get a lot of grants and support and whatnot. Water is not that way. Water is almost 1-to-1. I have to pay the same price that anyone else pays with the resources we have, taxes and things and stuff, but we can work on that situation again to make it as stretch as far as it can. But there are other ways. One, educate yourself and educate others, right? It is Memorial Day weekend right now. Everyone is outside. It is hot. It is triple digits. So it's not about hydrating. It's about pre-hydrating. I went to the Salt River yesterday. We started drinking water the night before. Everyone was required to drink 2 bottles before we got there. And then we had shade, and then we had water, and then we had everything. Okay? And not a lot of people know this story. So I'll share this with you. I went to the Salt River when I graduated 2 years ago as a celebration. One of my friends left in the back of an ambulance. Me, the hydration queen that threatened everybody. You will pre-hydrate. You will bring water. You will not drink heavily. You will have a salty snack. You will have electrolytes. You will do everything you can. Every hour, you need to get in the water and cool your core body temperature. Some of us are more sensitive than others. We did everything right. We got out of the river. My friend started showing signs of heat exhaustion. I knew. Red flag up. She's throwing up. She's hot. She has a headache. This is bad, but fixable. Start sipping water. Start cooling off. We put her in the AC. We did everything we could. And then I watched her progress, right? I knew the signs of heat exhaustion. I was educated and I knew what to do. I knew she shouldn't chug water. I knew she shouldn't do, there's certain things you shouldn't do in that case. We needed to get her cool and we needed to get her sipping water and keeping it down. I watched her progress. She started throwing up. She didn't quit throwing up. She couldn't cool down enough. She was still flushed. We took off our shirts over our swimsuits, took our shirts off, doused them in water, put them on the back of her neck, put her on her wrist, tried to core body temperature. She got worse, not better. And she continued to get worse. And I knew she was moving from heat exhaustion to heat stroke, which is now no longer a fixable problem without medical intervention. And she was in the danger zone. And I looked to my friend and I said, call 911. And we had she ran to the corner of the parking lot with all the emergency contact. I was looking for a park ranger number or Maricopa County sheriff, anyone that might be a little closer. And I was like, call 911. And that friend said, I would have never known. I would have never known we needed to call 911. But because I had put the time in to be educated, to know what to look for, to know when this was a fixable problem, we all just need to take a break. We need to hydrate. We need to relax. And when this is now a dangerous situation that could result in her life, if it can happen to my brother and it can happen to me, let me tell you, it can happen to you. So being educated and sharing that with others, that's going to make a huge difference. That's going to save lives with a single dollar not spent, right? Spreading the word, not only my page, following my story, following my nonprofit, sharing what we're trying to do. Maybe you don't have a dollar to give, but maybe a company that you frequent does, or an individual that you frequent does. Sharing goes the longest way in 2025. I promise you that. And there are volunteer opportunities with my organization, but many others. United Food Bank, every time. RS Foundation, they're handing out water every single Tuesday, rain or shine, 52 weeks of the year. So going and finding those opportunities, just asking around. There is no better feeling for me than putting a bottle of water in someone's hand. And I had to tell you, I haven't done that very much. And when I did that through the RS Foundation, it was amazing. And I want to communicate to my donors that their money is going where it matters. And we did post a video here. My son Luke, he donated $4, right? That's what he had. $4. So he donated $4. And I posted a video to show him going to Walmart, purchasing his case of water, and then taking it to the RS Foundation. And within an hour, handing out that water. He handed out 200 bottles of water. That's the life cycle of where $4 goes in this organization. And not that I don't have some overhead costs. I do want to be transparent. Again, my goal is to make it go as far as possible. I'm not spending money unless I have to. So I have a website and a domain. I have some printing costs, but I always try to get donations in the off season that cover my less than $1,000. Usually it's about $600 a year. If I can collect that in the off season, then every single dollar that's donated during the summer goes directly to water.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I know that you said one of your goals for this year is to be able to expand the brand and really have your face and or your brother Bill's to be really that marketing component, right? But are there any other big goals that you're working towards? Any other calls to action? Are you looking for other partners? For example, are you looking for a print shop in Mesa that's willing to donate their services and be a part of the solution? What is it you need and you're looking for?
Every year I have a different goal. So last year it was all about branding, and we were so fortunate to have a volunteer create a new logo for us. And that really helped us to create a brand identity. And that was my focus last year. This year, my goal is to personify and really humanize the nonprofit, and to share the story on a person to person level. But yeah, we're always looking for support in whatever way that may come. So it's not always the monetary donations. Sometimes it is right now, I need a pop-up canopy. I need a
Mm,
couple folding tables. I need a cooler that someone can make a vinyl for, because I'd like to be able to go to people. Other people are hosting water drives in our behalf, or I would like to go to the farmers market and hand out bottles of water, or sell bottles of water for $1 donation, tell my brother's story, and not only provide cold water where people are outside, but spread the word and get people to know. And supplies like that, having someone donate branded t-shirts for me to do things like this or whatever it may be, or for other volunteers that are helping, versus taking that out of donors' dollars, that's absolutely support.
or just heard pop-up tent, folding tables. And honestly, to me, it sounds like you just need a ready to go plug and play event kit for yourself.
That's really what I need. And I have started recording this year. So I have a few supplies, a light, a tripod, a microphone. But sometimes support is even someone saying, like, oh, I use this to edit my videos, or don't get that microphone, get this one, or whatever it may be. That advice and that support, your Amazon wish list, sometimes
Yeah.
is so helpful when you're trying to learn a new skill to promote your business and to connect with the community and reach out.
Yeah. And I'm not to use an overused term, but I'm so glad you slid in my DMs. We got to
Yeah.
have this conversation. I mean, you're doing incredible work, and I'm glad I get to be a part of it and gift back in the way that I best know how, which is storytelling. And this is going to be really like, just to put it in perspective for my network and my colleagues of how easy it is to get involved, is you reached out and wanted to be on the podcast. I said, absolutely, let's figure it out. We scheduled it virtually because, yeah, you and I could have fumbled, found a time in person. We're both in Mesa, but look, we scheduled it within 24 hours. I'm going to edit this today. It's May 23rd. It'll go out later this afternoon. And then my challenge to all my colleagues is, you don't have to do something big. Just be willing to share the message. So everyone's going to see clips of this on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I will try TikTok and tag you. Like, if just a few people share the message, and I know you know this because you've been doing a great job on social media. Social media isn't about how many followers you have. If you simply share the message, the people that it's for will see it. It's all about interest. And I know damn well people in Arizona care about how hot it is. They care about water related deaths, and they care about keeping their friends and family and pets and vulnerable populations safe. So I challenge
So
everyone to do what they can, whatever that looks like.
absolutely. And it's such an easy thing to do and make an immediate impact. Sometimes when I buy water, it goes out the same day. When a semi is delivered to the food bank, I have normally about 48 hours to go and see it. Before it's off to wherever it needs
Yeah.
to be. But yeah, it doesn't take much, right? So sharing the words, my goal was 200 followers on TikTok today. 200 people that are following this series, that support what I'm trying to do and are invested in seeing where this goes, right? It's not about the number. In my personal life, I don't care how many followers I have, but in a nonprofit, it matters. And in business,
Oh,
it
yeah.
matters, because I can't do this by myself. I need individuals. I need companies, big and small. I need networking and resources and all of us to come together. And that is how a difference is going to be made. And I try different things, right? I think in business and in my personal life, I'm always trying to do something different to just see what sticks. So there are a lot of ways to give back, and it really doesn't take a lot. If a lot of people get involved, or really just the 200 followers I have, which in social media is nothing, all got involved. I had this really fun idea this year to do 100 day fundraiser, which is something I've never done before. So what I'm drinking 100 ounces of water a day for 100 days straight. Today is day
Yes.
30. And I'm asking my community to donate the corresponding donation amount to whatever day I'm on. So today we're looking for one person to make a $30 donation. That is not a momentous amount of money, right? But today it's 30 and tomorrow it's 31 and the day after that it's 32. And if everyone got on board to a series as simple as me drinking 100 ounces a day, it's $5,000 this summer that goes directly to water. It's $5,000. No one had to write that check, but you wrote a $30 check and it helped and it made a difference.
What do you think Bill would say about everything you're doing?
The thing with starting the nonprofit is I did it after my brother's passing, and I'll never know what he thinks about this. I can hope that he's with me in one way or another. I carry things every day to remind me of him. I have his fingerprint. I have a water drop on my wrist. Like I'm very committed to always remembering why I'm doing this and the reasoning behind it. I hope my brother's proud. He wanted a lot of things for me. Me and my husband actually started college the day after his passing. So graduating was very important and moving forward was very important. And I hope if he would have wanted this nonprofit or not, I can't say he would want all of this attention, but if he would want this nonprofit or not, I hope he's at least proud of me. And I'm proud that, I have done something so important with my grief. There's a lot of ways to grieve and everyone does it differently. And for the ones of us that find this advocacy work or this community work important in their grief journey, I have to trust my gut that my brother would want what's best for whatever my grief journey looked like. And telling his story allows me to stay connected to him. I get to tell my brother's story right now every single day. I get to connect with families that have maybe lost a loved one in a similar way or protect other families that may not even know I exist. I hope he is just proud that I am figuring it out in whatever way works for me. And I hope he's proud that the nonprofit brings our family together. His wife is involved, his son is involved, my husband and my sister are involved. My family supports me and his family supports me. Though he's not here to tie us together, the nonprofit is.
Yeah. And again, I think we can't hit this point home enough. The issue that you're tackling, that you've chosen to address head on in a very grassroots way in our community, is totally preventable. And you already highlighted we're going into a really busy Memorial Day weekend. I love my community, but I'll say it. You don't have to say it. Occasionally people are really dumb. So as we're going out there and you think that you've had enough water and you're going to be drinking by the pool or on the river, or even if you're just walking outside and, heaven forbid you're someone who's really down on their luck and is outside all day. And we can't drive this home enough. Drink more water than you think you need. As you said, do it proactively, like preload your water if you're going to be out and about doing things. And just take care of one another. Look out for the people around you. Tell us again, Amanda, you had mentioned some signs in one of your stories about the Salt River, about what to look for. I think it was like 4 or 5 things. Hit me with those again so we can really drive it home.
Yeah, while you're out and about, and not only check in on yourself, but check in on your friends and family for signs of heat exhaustion. Those are all listed online. The fire department and Parks and Rec, everyone will put those out on their websites and social media every year. So easy ones. If you are nauseated or vomiting, if you have a really terrible headache that you can't kick, just that general flush of feeling hot and cold at the same time, any amount of dizziness can absolutely be something. So yeah, just kind of keep an eye out for it. They're really, the thing is they're really kind of standard symptoms. So sometimes if you've been out on the lake and you're drinking and your buddy starts throwing up, you don't know if it's heat exhaustion or he had one too many Coors Lights, right? So just check in. Just kind of say like, okay, where are we at? Have I seen this person drink a water? Have they had some electrolytes or a snack with it, whatever it may be? And just know that that could be an option. And if you're seeing those things, start sipping water and start getting into the shade and do it preventively and just look up those signs. It only takes a few minutes to be educated to know, and you knowing when someone else is in a bad spot or in a dangerous spot can make a huge difference. Absolutely.
Amazing. So, one more time for the people, and I'll put it all in the show notes, website, social media handles. If you want to get involved, how do they reach you? How do they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. We are actively fundraising for the summertime frame here and putting water into the hands of people that need it, which is all of us, to be clear, here in Arizona. But you can check us out. Mine and my brother's full story is at bottlesforbill.com. You can see all of our media links there for other interviews I've done and learn more about how we came to be and what we're trying to do out here. We are on Instagram at bottlesforbillas and on TikTok at bottlesforbillas as well. Old school like me can check me out on Facebook. But yeah, we're a little bit everywhere.
Awesome. Awesome. So, no excuses. People, share the message. If you do nothing else, everyone's going to see some clips and they need to share it on their channels. Amazing. Thanks so much, Amanda, for sharing your story, sharing Bill's story. Again, we're going to have a follow-up conversation because I am in awe and impressed by you as all the titles that you hold, from nonprofit founder, badass mom, and beyond. So we'll chat again soon.
I'd love that. Our goal, I would love to do at least 50,000 bottles this year. I think that's very doable. And maybe we can hook up maybe on day 60 or day 100 and see where
Yeah.
we're
Progress report. I love it.
at. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Amanda.
Thank you, Kate. Appreciate it.